And you can work with this table to get started. I like to just close that one out, so I'm working with a blank slate. And then let's go create our own, just so I can show you how to do that. So you click Create, and you'll see all these tools up here. You have your table tools, your query tools, your form tools, your report tools, and then macros and code. So if we go to the Tables tool, we'll just click on the blank table, and there we are again with our just empty blank table. And you can see it's already put an ID in here for us. And we can start adding more fields going this way. But I prefer to work in what's called Design View. There are two different views for this. This is called Datasheet View, and you can see it looks like a sheet of data, kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. The other one is called Design View. And Design View is oriented differently, and it allows you to create things more easily. The way to get into Design View is just to right-click on here and click Design View. Or you can also go up here to the corner and just click that icon, and that'll get us going. Now, again, just like we had to save our entire database before we actually create it, Access is going to ask us to save our table before we create it. So we're also going to call this one Practice. And I'm going to click OK. And now it's actually created, and you can see it's named Practice now. And it's showing us the field name that Access already gave us called ID. But what we're going to do in this very simple database that I'm going to teach you how to create is we're just going to make a contact list. So I don't really need a special ID for my contacts. I'm just going to start with their name. So I'm actually going to go in here, right click this, and delete this. And it asks me if I want to delete it, and I'm going to say yes. So now I'm back to a blank slate, and now I can start to name the fields, and these are going to be the column headings that go across the top in our datasheet view. So just follow along with me, and then I'll show you what it's going to look like in just a minute. So first we need our first name for our contact. We're going to hit Tab or Enter, and it'll take us to the next cell. It's going to automatically say short text, and that's great. Short text is good for a first name as a data type. So this is basically the type of data that is going to go into this field. So if you're putting numbers in here, you can do a drop down and you can pick from numbers. If you're putting paragraphs of text, you can put long text. But for most things, you're going to do short text. You know, if you have a date or money, things like that, we can put different options. But for the most part, you're going to do short text. So then we're going to keep going. We'll hit Tab. A description is if you have a kind of complicated field name here that whoever's entering data into it needs to kind of have more guidance, then you'd put some information in there. It's pretty obvious that if it says first name, we want their first name. So they'd just type in Steve, right? So we'll click Tab and keep going. Now we want last name. Okay, Tab. It automatically says short text. That's great. We'll keep going. Let's say address. Short text is good. City. Good. State. Good. And phone number. Let's just call it phone number, like that. So we don't take up too much space. And even for our phone number, we're going to call that short text because we're not doing any math on it, so we don't need to call it a number. So we tab a couple more times to get down there, and that is our completed table. Those are all of our fields. So now we're going to go back to Design View, and remember we do that by right-clicking here, clicking on Design View, or you can go up there too. But we'll just click here this time. Oops, I didn't click it. Oh, we're in Design View. Sorry, we're going to Datasheet View. You can see it's highlighted on Design View. Datasheet View. It's going to ask us to save it because we made changes to our table. And we'll click Yes. And now we're back into our Datasheet View, which again, our Datasheet View kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet. And in Design View, we created these different fields. So we have our first name, last name, address, city, state, and phone number. So that's our table. And if we wanted to put information into this table, we can just type Steve McDonald, 123 4th Street, wherever you want to live, New York City, New York, right? We'd probably put a zip code in there too if you wanted to mail things to your contact list, but we don't need to do that. It's fine. This is just for an example. And then we have a phone number. Something like that. Hit enter, and now that is officially in our database. And we could add as many as we want, just going down the rows here. So let's just add one more, and that will at least give us enough that when I show you how to create a report and a query, it'll actually look like we have something in there. So let's put in Fred Rhodes, and he lives at 234 5th Street. And hopefully these aren't real addresses. If they are, please don't go there. Okay. Here, let's do one more. Good thing I'm not an administrative assistant. My boss would be unthrilled. Okay, there we go. So now we have 3 entries in there, and when we start to create queries and stuff, it'll kind of make more sense. So, and in fact, you know what? Let's just say that he's from Seattle, Washington. And you could abbreviate these like WA. You know, that would actually save space in your database, but since we have a tiny one, we're just gonna do it spelled out. Okay, so and notice it's still showing this little pencil over here. That means this one hasn't been entered in yet or saved, or that at least the edits haven't been saved. So I'm going to go ahead and arrow down, and then now it's in there. Okay, so that's our first table, and you'll see it over here in our objects. This is kind of our navigation pane that just holds everything that's in our database. Okay, so we have a table. Let's close that now, and you can just right click here and click close, and it's still over there, but it's not active, and so we're not working on it. Okay, now let's go create something else.